Hey guys and ghouls, welcome back to the Cozy Ghost. I'm your host October, and welcome back to the Stanley Parable. Let's get going.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Yep.
Feeling a wave of disbelief,
Oh.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Alright. Let's...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Nah, I did that last time.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk?
Fair enough.
All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked
Whoa,
down?
okay.
Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
That's cool.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream.
How could it be?
Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that?
Yeah.
This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream.
Yeah.
So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up.
Ooh.
He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife,
Oh, he's married?
and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Aw.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Oh.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't.
Sure.
It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Damn, Stanley. Didn't even make an impact. I mean, there was an impact. Oof, that's rough.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
Sure. Oh, boo.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Fine, I'll enter the door on my left.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
It's 2548,
The
right?
moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor, he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of hope for Stanley's future? Alas, it was not. For although this keypad guarded the terrible secret of Stanley's past, it had been assigned a 4-digit code so devious and so random that Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk.
I did!
That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Here's the thing, narrator.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Nah. I'm gonna escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
No.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Yeah. Whee! Loading, 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 loading. Oh!
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever.
Okay.
Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Oh.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Damn. The set of two open doors was the very first concrete piece of the Stanley Parable's design. Once this room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it, an exploration of the contradiction this room posed. Because you're offered a choice, but you're not allowed to take it. Office layout. This blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. The path from Stanley's office to the two doors was the first part of this game that was built. Sections have been added and altered throughout development though the core layout remains almost identical to the first iteration. The nature paintings that are around. Stanley's computer. Cool. Corridor. The pacing of this opening section was important to get right. The corridor has been moved and altered to make sure the player reaches the two doors in a good time. Fair enough. Filing cabinets. Office computers. They'll have stuff like solitaire. What does that say? I don't know what that says. The employee database. Oh, the credits. Original music from Blake Robinson, Christian Baker, and Ioannis Ioannidis. I am so sorry. I butchered that name. I'm so sorry. Additional voice work from Leslie Staples, Aviva Pinchas, and Jenny Kuglin. Original artwork from Simon Boxer, Mika Lotti. Steam support, Jason, Cassidy, Mike, and Pieter. Written and designed by Davey and William. Additional level design from Colin and Jack. Programming from Jesus. Sound design from Robin and Eduardo. The impeccable Kevin Brighting as the narrator. Woo! Model design from Andreas. Animation from Ryan Maxime. Stanley character skin from Tugart and Dean Darko. Additional music from Siddhartha and Kevin. Webmaster Shane Sweeney. Made using Source by Valve. Nice! Button sounds. A selection of the sounds used throughout the game when buttons are pressed. Each is a mix of a keyboard stroke and a synthesized tone. For real. There's so much to see, goddamn. The office. Maintenance room. An early version of the maintenance room. The what? Ah, I see. The copier. Green light. In September 2012, we submitted the Stanley Parable to Greenlight, Valve's process of approving games for Steam. The Greenlight page had only a series of cryptic photos, which were still enough to win the community's approval. That's good to know. Damn. The lounge. An early version of the lounge. The office. The cargo lift. The second version is functionally the same as what's in the final game, but we wanted it to look more like a place where cargo is actually stored. Fair enough, because this does very much give Portal, which was in fact made by Valve. The apartment timer. In a previous version of the choice leading to the apartment ending, a timer would give you 15 seconds to pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone would lead to a different ending. Cargo lift. The cargo lift was always intended to offer the choice of staying or jumping to a different path. However, after this early version, we decided we also wanted the option of the player falling to their death. Okay, so that's an option. There's so much to see. Oh my gosh. Zending lovers. Okay. What? Okay, there's a lot of stuff here. Escape menu. For a long time, we had an ending that only ended when the player restarted from the escape menu. Unfortunately, very few players realized this was what they were supposed to do, which was frustrating for everyone. Sure. There is so much to do. Oh my gosh. Countdown room. Early version of the countdown room. The what? Okay, hold on. Exit. This is cool. I will come back here later, but I don't want this to be the whole episode.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Oh.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
I let time choose for me. Hello? The screen went dark. Do I have to quit? I'm resuming the game. Hello? Alright, so I don't know what happened, but I'm loading went back when we get the first choices. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm gonna quit to menu. I'm gonna begin the game. I'm skipping that. We've done this before.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Yep, they're gone.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yeah.
No matter how hard Stanley looked,
Yep.
he couldn't find a trace of his
I know, I just
co-workers.
don't know where they are. Oh, where's the input stuff? Okay, whatever. Okay. What I'm gonna do is Oh, what? Whoa, wait. This is not the way this looks.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Nuh-uh. No, he doesn't. Okay, yes, he does. Wait! Okay, guys, I might have done the wrong thing.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he might coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
Okay. Is he bored with this or something?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Okay.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
His tone is different.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Uh-huh.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Yes.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone
Pirate?
else's control? Never. It was unthinkable.
It's pretty thinkable.
Wasn't it? Was it even possible?
Yes.
Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Yeah. The answer is yes. Yeppers
Here was the
Peppers.
proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls.
I sure
After they
did.
kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
Maybe.
Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go. Turn the controls off and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes.
2?
Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you.
What?
About me. Where we're going.
3?
What all this means.
Oh.
I barely know where to start. What's that?
I have 3 attempts
You'd like to know where
remaining.
your co-workers are. A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free.
What?
Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going
Yes,
or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you
Help.
just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning
That
it
one.
off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me.
Where's the big red
Don't you think
button?
that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you
Yes.
have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
No.
Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment.
Re-enter passcode.
But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're
Wait.
powerless. To see you made humble.
Shut up.
This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to
Okay.
control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first.
What?
so
What?
you
What?
can't.
What? What?
Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces.
Wait.
Cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
Alright, that was bad. I actually don't know if there's a way to beat that. I've never actually looked. I just thought I should attempt it to give this episode some more spice. Alright, hush your face. I'm gonna end this episode here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and enjoyed this series. I have been. This is really fun. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!